Spider-Man 2099 is a character and comic title that I'm quite fond of. While I grew up as a big Peter Parker fan, once I had gotten into actually reading comics a few years ago, I never really found myself reading his books that often, even if League of Comic Geeks tells me that he's my third most read character. Instead, after reading a good amount of Daredevil comics, I thought I'd try and get into another character, one who seemed a lot easier to get into than Peter Parker, that character being Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of the year 2099, and I was instantly hooked. After recently rereading a ton of his stuff since he just got an omnibus, and seeing his appearance in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the many feelings I have for him are fresh in my mind, so I thought I'd make a video discussing them. This is meant to be more of a conversation with those who have read the books I'll be talking about, but could also be a pitch to someone who isn't sure if they want to dive into the world of Spider-Man 2099. And in the case of that, this video will only contain some spoilers for the first 10 issues of his original run, alongside some much broader opinions about his more recent books. But I can't talk about Miguel without first talking about the world that surrounds him. While modern Marvel comics about different versions of popular characters in other universes can be quick to show off as many characters as possible, this wasn't the case for the initial world of Marvel 2099. In this dystopian future, every single Marvel hero has been dead for over 100 years, with most of them also being forgotten. Evil corporations like Alchemax and Stark Fujikawa do nothing but prey on citizens who no longer have role models motivating them to fight their oppressors. They bought their own police force, the Public Eye, whose name tells you all you need to know about them. They don't have their eyes out for genuine criminals, but for the public, those that can't afford to be left alone in private. They arrest freedom fighters and give them absurdly long prison sentences just so they can hand the person over to Alchemax, who gives them a choice between prison or being experimented on. And the experiments aren't safe. The first issue literally shows a man given this deal doing whatever he can so he just doesn't have to go to prison, and it ends horribly for him. From the get-go, you know that the men running these corporations are terrible people. But what of those that aren't exactly on the top nor the bottom? Those not running the organizations, but working for them. To see that experience, look no further, as that is the story of the titular character. Chronologically, the first scene we see of him is a display of his work life, specifically him being goaded into experimenting on a human, alongside some very funny remarks against corporate overlord Tyler Stone. While Miguel always has a bit of an attitude, he has a special kind of disgust towards Stone that only continues to grow throughout the series. And though Miguel may not have the best sense of morals, he does know that he doesn't want to be involved with the victimization and murder of strangers. But as soon as he actually tries to fight back, he instantly gets more than a taste of being on the other side of things. After trying to quit his job and being drugged with Rapture as punishment, causing an incurable addiction due to the drug bonding to his DNA, Miguel sees only one way to fix things: using the very same machine that mutated and then killed a man earlier in the book. He quite literally has to put himself on the other side of things, and after an error in the process, is given spider powers, which forever change his life. He's the exact kind of powered being that Alchemax wants, making him become the #1 man the Public Eye are looking for. This leads to multiple confrontations, displaying a brand new superhero taking the fight to the big corporations. Or at least that's what the public thinks. Even several issues in, Miguel has only fought back to either save his own life or prevent himself from feeling guilty, but inadvertently become an icon to many. Something that I love about Spider-Man 2099 is how far he is from the conventional take on a Spider-Man story, and his origin goes to great lengths to display that. Probably the two most iconic parts about Peter Parker's origin are that he gets bitten by a spider and then loses his Uncle Ben, which teaches him that with great power, there must also come great responsibility. Miguel doesn't get bitten by a spider, and even has a moment where he mentions not caring for that classic responsibility line. He doesn't have a specific Uncle Ben moment, but more of an experience. While the suits of many other Spider-Men have been crafted with heart and meaning, Miguel just throws on an old Day of the Dead costume so he can have something that covers his identity. One of, if not the most important aspects of a superhero's recognizability is the costume the hero wears, and this costume tells you all you need to know about how Miguel initially felt about being Spider-Man. Also, the costume just looks good. It's simple, memorable, couldn't be mistaken for Peter Parker's, displays Miguel's Mexican culture, and only becomes more compelling once you know why Miguel even picks it in the first place. It takes 9 issues of him purely being Spider-Man for the good of himself to also happen to realize that there could be more to being Spider-Man. Issue number 10, my personal favorite in the entire series, is amazing for a lot of reasons, but the one I'd like to point out now is the moment in which everything finally hits Miguel. All I ever wanted was to be important. Working for Alchemax was doing the right thing, but I was important to all the wrong people. Being Spider-Man is the wrong thing, law-wise, health-wise, but he's important to all the right people, the people I've been working so hard at ignoring. When I put on that costume, I start thinking and acting differently. Face it, Spider-Man is starting to take over when the mask goes on. It was Miguel in the costume who saved the specialist, and almost got killed in repayment. And when the Vulture was falling, Spider-Man, having learned the lesson, led him. Miguel went downtown, but Spider-Man came back up. And since Miguel isn't the least bit sorry the Vulture fell, it's looking like Spider-Man doesn't necessarily vanish when the mask comes off. The world we're living in, Gabri saw it, Casey saw it, even the crazy lady saw it. If I'm so blasted bright, why didn't I see it until I looked through Spider-Man's eyes? And now that I have, do I face it, or turn away from it? While Miguel is still conflicted, he can recognize who he's important to now. It's not something he can hide from anymore, as even those around him are enamored with his alter ego. And what really hammers it in for him is his mother being Spider-Man's biggest fan. What once was just a way to keep himself safe has now become a symbol of hope, a rare thing in 2099. He didn't become Spider-Man after his attempt to cure himself went wrong, or after he first donned the suit, or even after the 3-issue origin arc. He became Spider-Man at the end of issue number 10, where he announces to Alchemax, Stark Fujikawa, and anyone else who might be listening, that he isn't kidding around anymore. He chooses to defend a group of Thorites, followers of Thor, being attacked by Alchemax. Thorites and Spiderites, followers of Spider-Man, feel like a meta take on the idea that superheroes are modern mythology. With so few heroes in the year 2099, it has become easier and easier to put all your faith into one person if it means there's a single chance that they might actually destroy the evil oppressors. In one more great moment in this issue, Miguel thinks to himself that the world is what we make of it, and until he's found a cure for his abilities, he's going to make it into a vision that he can stand to look at. And while the meaning of this is very clear, he hates the evil corporations and plans on stopping them, there's also a much more literal interpretation that could be formed by thinking about a specific one of Miguel's powers, and that's his enhanced vision. It can't be a coincidence that upon finally fighting back against Alchemax, he can quite literally see more clearly now. This ability also fills in for what would usually be a spider sense, except Miguel isn't given a warning system that automatically goes off when there's immediate danger, but the ability to constantly be more aware of the dangerous environment he already lives in. And not only does he see more clearly, but his eyesight is extremely sensitive now. It hurts to look at the world around him, unless he does something about it. In the literal case of Miguel's eyes, it's putting on sunglasses. But in the figurative case of Miguel and his battle against Alchemax, it's donning the mask and accepting what he has become. If you ever want to read anything about Spider-Man 2099, I beg of you to have it be these first 10 issues of his original run. They're definitely what I'd consider quintessential to the book. If you like those, then you should definitely continue till after number 25. I enjoy the stuff after that, but not as much as those first 25 issues, since a lot of the characters and dynamics I care for get pushed aside and never really return with the same oomph. And I feel that, but even stronger for the last 2 volumes written by Peter David, since they trap Miguel in modern times, completely separating him from the world and characters I find much more compelling than anything in these issues. But hey, don't just skip out on something because other people don't like it. I heard 90s Daredevil was terrible, but I still read it. I thought it was terrible, but I still read it. If you want to hear more of my opinions about Spider-Man 2099, definitely check out the podcast I co-host with my friend Shay, called Kaboom, where we talk about different comics and games. I've also got a Twitter with the same name as this YouTube channel that you can check out if you're interested in seeing more of my thoughts on the same kind of stuff. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in whatever I upload next. But I can't talk about Miguel without first talking about the world that surrounds him. While modern Marvel comics about different